Hello, welcome back. So today in this video, let us understand how Microsoft Azure as a cloud vendor or the leader in the market with respect to the cloud vendor, which is a major competitor for AWS cloud vendor. So definitely, so Microsoft Azure is able to help Myntra to kind of handle its seasonal peaks and like run its business during its peak sales period, right? So as you know, Microsoft Azure, is help as a vendor is helping a lot of customers. And in this video, let us take an example of Myntra, and let us understand and view with few numbers. Also, we can understand how it is able to help Myntra to run its business during the sales period, and how it is able to kind of help with respect to the scalability aspect of it. So all these details we will discuss in this video. And before proceeding, if you are new to this channel and haven't subscribed for this channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So Microsoft Azure, definitely it's a managed service. So it provides a lot of services, as it is a cloud vendor, right? It provides the capability of storage, it provides the capability of uh, compute. So these like storage and compute are the major piece, but based on what kind of data you use, what kind of a source you use, whether you use the real-time data, batch data, and how are you kind of what are you trying to do with your data. So it depends what kind of storage, what kind of compute that you can use in Microsoft Azure. So there are different components for storage, different component for compute, and different component for ingestion as well, ingestion and integration as well. But definitely it depends on use case to use case basis. And coming to the Myntra's case, right? Myntra, why Myntra is, first let us understand why Myntra is using Microsoft Azure, right? So the basic details are like intense workload. So this is a typical scenario, right? If you take about any FMCG or any retail marketing, right? So or any sort of a business that runs on the uh, retail or B2B kind of a thing, right? So definitely you'll be having a peak sales or the peak market period or time, so during which you need to kind of manage and maintain your infrastructure to scale at its peak, or to scale it as required. So that's where the intense load during the seasonal peak is one very important thing, what Microsoft Azure is providing Myntra, or ensuring that so it is able to scale for its requirements. And also, like when you talk about scalability, definitely you save a cost when you upscale. You actually use what is needed, and when there is no seasonal peak or off season, right? So it will scale down also. So that automatically we can set that's called auto scaling, which will definitely help Myntra to is helping Myntra to save the cost. And Myntra has built its entire portfolio into Microsoft Azure. It has migrated everything, all the data, infra, everything to the Microsoft Azure, and it is calling it as a unified data processing framework. So different organization give a different name for these kind of centralized data lakes or data lakes or data marts they build. So usually it will be data lake kind of a thing, where they bring entire data and dump into one place, centralized data into one place, right? So that's different organization call it by different their own words actually, right? So in the next slide, let us understand why they have choose Microsoft Azure. Okay, definitely. They can choose my yeah, AWS and GCP also, but they have chosen Microsoft Azure because of these reasons. But you might question like, okay, they could have chosen AWS also, which is very similar to this. But yes, so it depends on the company's organization, the tie-ups that they have with Microsoft Azure, and how the sales team pitch into the Microsoft sales team pitch into the Myntra, and they able to kind of win the deal, right? So not only technology, okay, but also how the sales team and what is the feature, the negotiation that they do, and the futuristic technical alignments the each organization have. I mean, the both customer and vendor organization have, and their roadmap for the next 10 years, 15 years, technological advancement. So all this depends, not only the technical things, but all other diplomatic thing also depends why Myntra has chosen Microsoft Azure. But technically speaking, Microsoft Azure provides a massive parallel processing. That means there is a component for Azure Synapse Analytics, which is a data warehousing, which gives the low latency SQL capabilities. So why we are calling massive parallel processing? The reason is it uses the MPP architecture and kind of can do a reporting, can do analytics at scale, and with a huge volume of data flowing in. So that's the beauty of using MPP. And auto scaling, that means you can scale the infrastructure automatically scales, maybe the storage or compute as needed, and come back when it is come back to the downgrade the infrastructure when there is a off season sales. And whenever there is a downscaling, descaling happens, so then definitely it will save the cost. And high availability, so Microsoft Azure has will provide like around 9.9 dot, depends on like storage, compute, and different resource that you use, but most of the components gives 99.999 kind of after dot it will be 999. So a kind of accuracy for the high availability of the resource, whenever they come down, and they have their own backup systems, they have their own rollback plans. Uh, so all these Microsoft does this as a managed service, so they maintain internally, so the customer need not worry about all these things, but end of the day they provide the assure the high availability with good availability percentage, like 99.99 or something, right? And the freedom of choice, Microsoft Azure definitely understands clients necessity that they want to integrate like open source tools like Hadoop, and they can use the HD inside kind of component and integrate that existing Hadoop infrastructure along with the cloud infrastructure as well. So kind of a create the hybrid kind of a environment, or the hybrid cloud kind of environment, right? So, and it also provides using a different kind of open source softwares, and also Microsoft Azure also has partnered with a lot of organizations, a lot of tools to kind of work with their integrations. So that's the reason it gives the freedom of choice for any cloud user. And let us see the finally let us see the benefits in numbers, right? So by using the Microsoft Azure Synapse Analytics, it is data warehouse actually, and Myntra has built an enterprise data warehouse with big data analytics capabilities. So when we say big data analytics capabilities, the data volume, the way the data is generated and refreshed, so it's quite huge and in scale. And also it has given two dedicated SQL pool of each auto scale to 15,000 data warehouse units. Actually it is data warehouse units, DHU. So I mean, you can understand the SQL pool is nothing but you can create a multiple SQL databases inside SQL in each SQL pool. So why they are using SQL pool is, suppose you have 10 databases in one SQL pool. One database is in India region, another database is for US region, another database is for another Australian region, right? So maybe a different country based, different state based, right? So if one country is using at a peak scale and another country is at a low scale, right? So at the end of the day, it actually provides the accumulated uh, uh, the resource to all of these databases. So that's the whole intent. If you are keeping different databases of a different time zone in one SQL pool, right? So then definitely it will help you, because if in US market time zone, India market will be off, and the other way around, so that you can balance the load basically. So that is the one advantage of using SQL pool here. And auto scaling is nothing but you can since Myntra might be using my guess is they will be using open source Hadoop as a backend big data processing capability. So that's the reason they are using HD Insight, Azure HD Insight, to kind of connect to their Hadoop infrastructure and use almost 12,000 cores uh, during the peak sales event and serve more than 1,000 ETL jobs, right? And also 70,000 queries on a daily basis. So that maybe they might be using for some kind of finance reports or kind of any kind of reports here, right? And coming to the high availability, this is very important. Scalability on demand and able to handle more than 4 million orders from say 3.5 million customers. So that's how you scale at peak, right? So this is a peak time or the peak day. So the stats has been captured and it can scale to that level and can come back. All the infrastructure can come down back when it is not needed. That's how it saves the cost and saves the infrastructure usability, right? And finally, what Myntra have to say as a customer regarding their vendor Microsoft Azure. So they say the efficiency we got from auto scaling the cluster allowed us to scale our infrastructure 50% and at accommodate 3 times more traffic. So what that means is, so first is we can note the efficiency, right? So the efficiency they got from auto scaling. So this is important, right? So auto scaling the cluster, that means the clusters are able to kind of scale themselves and downgrades on themselves automatically, right? And with that, their infrastructure, 50% of infrastructure they can use it, and whatever is not needed, right? So they can bring that down and at accommodate 3 times more traffic. That means, so even though they are using just their 50% of the infrastructure at a given point of time, so the other 50% they don't need, so they are kind of remove that infrastructure by descaling it, right? So but at they are able to accommodate 3 times more traffic. That means they are saving 50% of the cost here, and also they are using 3 times they are able to serve 3 times more traffic. That means it is saving the cost also, and also it is accommodating more traffic or more users. So this is the best use case that we have brought up. Maybe we will bring up more such use cases. So the intention of this video is to kind of explain how enterprises are making use of the different clouds, especially like Microsoft Azure, to kind of for their benefits during the seasonal peaks or during the peak hours, and how they are smartly using the concept of auto scaling and to save the cost, right? Definitely. Hope this was useful, and thanks for watching.